For the Mississippi Construction Education Foundation Skills USA competition, we have relocated the Element Wealth Studios down here to the beautiful Trademark. Go to myelementwealth.com or call 601-957-6006. Joining us now on the set is Dr. Nathan Oakley, Deputy Director for K-12 and Innovation for Accelerate Mississippi. Dr. Oakley, thanks so much for coming on. I was just telling on the show here in the last segment, in the last hour actually, how impressed I was when Mr. Barquette gave me the tour out there on the Trademark floor. These students are incredible. They're very talented, but most importantly, they're just having fun, and that's what you want. When you're having fun at work, you're going to produce, and you're going to produce a good product. But welcome to the show, sir, and your observation of this today.
I would wholeheartedly agree. First of all, thanks for having us. We are so glad to be here with you today. The work that's going on here is our future.
Yeah.
Just to see these students enjoying an educational experience in such a fun environment. It's what it ought to be about, whether it's work, whether it's education. And I would argue there's a close intersection there that it's great to see such an enjoyable atmosphere.
You know, we humans, we need to experience the sense of accomplishment. And when you're participating in a competition like this and you're given a project to complete, there's no better feeling, no more rewarding feeling, is there, Dr. Oakley, that when you complete a project and you stand back and you look at it and you sort of put the bow on it. That's what motivates people. It's healthy.
That is a big motivating factor. One of my favorite, it's cheaper than therapy. One of my favorite things to do outside of work is to get on a tractor and run a bush hog, because you can, when you finish the project, you can see what you've done.
Yeah.
And so we've got a similar situation here where they can look back at the end of the day and see what they've completed, see their project.
Well, that's the neat thing about the construction, the trades, is because it's so eye appealing, right? I mean, it kind of appeals to the senses. You can see it and touch it and feel it, and so you can stand back from it, whether it's the masonry project or the cabinet making, and I mean all of it. And it's way beyond me. I have zero skills whatsoever in that arena. I'm always impressed with people that do, but. These kids take it seriously, and they do a fantastic job. And they got a short window to do it. That's the other thing. I don't know. I like to just remeasure and remeasure and remeasure. I get a little wrapped up in that. These kids, I see them. They're doing it. They're moving around fast. They move on to the next task in the procedure, and they end up with a finished product. And then the teams competition as well is really cool, because they have to work together.
They do, and that's a lot of what we do as adults. Is not done independently. It requires us to collaborate and to coordinate and work with our colleagues and friends on projects.
So how does Accelerate Mississippi work with the MCEF and then the Department of Education? I'm impressed that we've got 3 high-level organizations like that are collaborating, which I think usually ends up producing better outcomes when we do that. What's the motivation there? What's the story?
We were established, Accelerate Mississippi was established really to serve as kind of the tip of the spear for workforce development, for strategy development and deployment across the state. Mm-hmm. And so MCEF is one of the organizations that we partner with to give students opportunities for events such as today, to be able to demonstrate and to share their skills and really brag on what they're able to do. There will be students, I would imagine, that come out of today after the judging that will have piqued the interest of some companies and may have potentially job offers on the table, or opportunities to pursue continued studies after high school, or an apprenticeship that leads to employment here in the state. And then we've taken the approach at Accelerate that our workforce challenges in the state and the problems or issues that we're trying to tackle are not isolated to our adult population. We're really trying to frame this runway from education through employment here in the state. And there are students coming out of K-12 that will pursue a 4-year post-secondary degree, and there are all kinds of options there. We want our accountants and our doctors and lawyers to have that broad undergraduate background. And there are folks that will come out of high school that want to pursue a 2-year program or a technical program or apprenticeship program. And those are all viable, meaningful pathways where folks can earn a gainful wage and provide for a family and really give back to their community here. So we want to frame that up really that there is no wrong pathway out of high school.
Absolutely. How important and valuable is it, I think it's a better way to state it, that the private sector is so heavily involved in this effort?
It's a critical piece of what we're trying to get done. The private sector, we got so many employers here in the state that are private industry. That if they are at the table with us as the Office of Workforce Development, working alongside K-12 and community colleges, all of our partners here in the state, there's a deeper and better and a more immediate understanding of what the needs are rather than the education entities working in isolation and putting out a student that maybe doesn't meet their needs. Yeah,
I mean, it just makes perfect common sense, doesn't it?
It does.
That you go to the folks that are hiring people and find out, well, what do you need and what are the skills they need to have to fill these job roles that you have. Otherwise, if we're educating people and giving them skills that are not in demand in the market, it's not really moving the needle.
That's part of the work that we're trying to tackle right now at Accelerate is getting a better connection from K-12 into post-secondary, into industry. We've got a lot of students that finish high school and go into 4-year programs. But there are a lot of jobs in the state that don't necessarily require that bachelor's degree and that time commitment over the 4 years and potentially the debt that goes alongside that. And so trying to get a better handle on what those specific industry demands are for employees regionally across the state and helping students in high school to see what those pathways really look like out of their high school years so that they've got a more direct pathway into employment if they want to pursue that.
You know, it seems like most of us parents, we always have these visions of our kids getting educated and entering the professional ranks. I mean, I guess typically you always think about doctors and lawyers, right, are pretty common. But I think what's overlooked is what the opportunities are here, and all professions are for everybody. That's what makes the world go round. We all need these various skills to make things work out. I just wonder how many youngsters, how many students maybe come to the conclusion at some point in their life and say, you know, I don't think that's for me, but this looks like something I would enjoy, and they have to maybe have those conversations with their parents.
I think it happens, and we would love. I think as a state, we've got to address the perceptions around trades, around career technical education, and the opportunities that are there. It is not vocational education that it was 50 years ago. If you've walked around, there's a lot of advanced technology that's in play, whether it's in construction, whether it's in manufacturing, other business and industry as well. And so we've got to do a better job, I think, as a state of messaging, not just to the students about the opportunities, but really messaging to parents so that they can understand that there's a great deal of respect and dignity and value in what these occupations bring to their families, perhaps, and to their communities.
And I think we as consumers often just take for granted that the workers in those skills areas, those trade areas, are just always going to be there to take care of, because they always have. But that's not the case, is it? I mean, there's demand grossly outstrips the supply.
That is absolutely the case. Absolutely.
And it's important as a result for our young folks to understand the opportunities here. And wow, has that changed? I mean, the perception I think we may have of folks that work in the trades is not consistent with what it's really like.
It is not. And I've had conversations in the last few weeks with an individual whose son came home and has started his own plumbing company. Came home from college and said, I'm not going to grad school. I'm starting my own company. And she couldn't be prouder
that's awesome.
of her son. And so that's kind of an outlier sometimes. We kind of hold closely to this idea that our students have to go to college. The question for a long time was, after high school, the question is, where are you going to college? Not what are you doing after high school? What's your life goal? What do you want to do next? Yeah,
it's a good point. And I think the other thing is that there's a lack of pervasive understanding of just what kind of money, what kind of compensation one can earn in these trades
without picking up debt on the front end.
Yeah, good point.
To start that work.
Yeah,
so, and I think for our younger generation of folks who particularly they want to feel like they make a difference often.
Sure.
in the world around them, in their neighborhood. And so I think we've got to tag into that and help them see where, if you're like a utility line worker, or if you're in construction trades, after a natural disaster, like those are some of the first responders that, as a resident, you couldn't be more excited to see coming your way.
That's very true. That's absolutely true. And then, of course, we got about a minute left. The soft skills, as we say, aspect of this is important too. And that's changing a lot.
It is.
For the better. I mean, it's improving a lot. Because
it is.
We're teaching that. We've recognized more how important that is. And organizations such as yours are making sure that they understand that and they're taught that.
We see those soft skills or durable skills as being critical in this work. If I can work well with others and show up on time and figure out problems,
so critical.
It's absolutely essential.
Dr. Oakley, thanks so much for coming on Middays. Appreciate it, sir.
Thanks, Gerard.
We'll talk again. Dr. Nathan Oakley has been our guest. We'll be back with more on Middays. We've got Wendy Clemens from the Department of Education at 11:37. Middays will return from the Element Wealth Studios.